There comes a moment in life when everything goes quiet. Not because the world suddenly became peaceful, but because life forced you into isolation. You look around and realize no one is coming to save you. People change, promises fade, and sooner or later, you must learn to walk alone. But here's the truth most people never discover. Being alone isn't weakness. It is where you meet your true self. It is where you either break or become unbreakable. Buddhism teaches, the one who masters himself walks the universe fearlessly. Yet most people run from solitude, afraid to face the truth within. But what if solitude isn't your enemy, but your awakening? What if life is pushing you to stop being available to distractions so you can finally rise? Before we begin, subscribe to Buddha's Eternal Wisdom, where every video is a doorway to calm, clarity, and timeless Buddhist insight you won't find anywhere else. If you feel forgotten, misunderstood, or abandoned, this video is your turning point. Because today you will learn how to do it alone, be alone without fear, and discover why those who learn to be alone become the strongest souls on earth. Stay until the end. I've saved a bonus lesson there that will shift your entire mindset about loneliness forever. Your journey begins now. 1. Pain reveals what comfort hides. Why do the deepest truths of your life only appear in your darkest moments? Pain is a lantern for those lost in their own darkness. When comfort cushions every movement you make, the edges of who you are become soft and indistinct. Only a strike, only a wound reveals the seams, like gold buried beneath rock. Truth is uncovered only when struck by force. Imagine your pain as a locked door. Behind it lives the real you, waiting patiently. You have spent years arranging pillows around your fears. Tasks, relationships, stories that keep the hollow quiet. This quiet is not peace. It is a pile of comfortable distractions. The first lesson, comfort, hides what needs to be seen. When you are left alone, the distractions fall away and the questions remain. What are you avoiding by staying comfortable? What is your pain trying to tell you? Are you willing to listen? Buddhist insight teaches that suffering is not punishment, but teacher. In the silence where the wound opens, mindfulness becomes the lamp that examines the wound without flinching. Notice the body's tremor, the mind's stories, the yearning that pushes you toward another. Observe with curiosity, not collapse. The practice is simple and fierce. Breathe into the ache, name it, and offer it your steady attention. Practical steps follow like a path of stones. First, allow yourself a small boundary of solitude each day, 10 minutes of honest sitting with what hurts. Second, write one sentence about the pain, where it lives, how it speaks, what it asks of you. Third, choose one tiny act that honors your truth. Say no, walk away, speak plainly. Discipline here is not hardness, it is fidelity to what is real. There will be resistance. Old comforts will call you back with familiar ease. This is the turning point. Remember that the discomfort of truth is the doorway outward. The day you learn to stand alone is the day nothing in this world can move you again. Let this sentence sit in your chest and steady your hands. Now, a final reflection. Imagine the locked door opening and the person behind it breathing freely. What do they look like? What choices do they make? The mystery you feared was merely an invitation. Solitude is not abandonment. It is apprenticeship. You are being prepared. You are not alone. You are being prepared. Carry this moral like a lantern. Pain reveals what comfort hides. Step toward the wound with curiosity, discipline, and gentle courage, and watch how your true self, long patient, answers. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, I'm growing in solitude. 2. Meet the enemy within. What if your biggest battle is not with the world, but your own thoughts? The mind can be a temple or a trap. When the world turns quiet and you are left alone, this truth begins to whisper louder. The people you once blamed for your chaos disappear, and what remains are the echoes of your own thinking. In that stillness, you realize it was never the world that made you suffer. It was the way you interpreted it. Thoughts are like wild horses. When trained, they carry you through storms with grace. When left untamed, they drag you into chaos. Most of us spend our lives being pulled by these horses, chasing approval, replaying regrets, fighting invisible enemies within. But solitude is where you begin to notice their movement. It is where you stop running and start watching. Watch each thought pass like a cloud, neither fighting it nor following it. In Buddhist teaching, the mind is both the creator and destroyer of peace. A thought can become a seed of compassion or a weapon of suffering. When you sit alone, your mind will try to seduce you with fear, guilt, and memory. But this is not punishment, it is purification. You are being shown what needs to be understood, not what needs to be escaped. Mindfulness, then, is the art of choosing which thoughts deserve your breath. Ask yourself gently, do your thoughts serve you or sabotage you? Are you controlling your mind, or is it controlling you? The Buddha once taught that victory over 1,000 armies is small compared to victory over the self. The true warrior's path is inward. Every time you observe instead of react, every moment you breathe instead of panic, you reclaim a piece of that temple within. To practice, begin with still awareness. When a thought arises, label it softly: fear, hope, memory, judgment. This simple naming pulls you out of its grip. Next, anchor yourself to one deep breath, feeling its rise and fall like the tide returning to shore. Finally, question one belief that keeps you chained. What must you let go of today? Solitude reveals this secret. You were never fighting the world, you were wrestling with your reflection. When the battle quiets, what remains is peace. Not because the mind stopped speaking, but because you stopped obeying. And so, remember this truth. When left alone, you do not lose yourself. You meet the one who has been waiting beyond thought. The mind can be a temple, but only if you learn to be its master, not its prisoner. 3. Emotional dependency is silent slavery. Why do we beg for validation from people who can't even guide themselves? The world teaches us to seek comfort in others' approval, to measure our worth through the eyes that look at us. But the Buddha taught, he who depends on others is never truly free. These words are not a command to reject love. They are an invitation to stop confusing attachment for peace. Because the moment your happiness leans on someone else's shoulder, you hand them the key to your suffering. A bird raised in a cage fears freedom because it has never learned to use its own wings. Emotional dependency is that cage. It is built not from iron, but from expectations, fears, and the quiet desperation to be seen. Every time you wait for someone's message to feel loved, every time your peace shatters at someone's silence, another bar is added. Yet there comes a moment when the heart whispers, enough. Imagine yourself cutting one invisible rope tied to someone else's approval. Can you feel the lightness in your chest? That is what freedom tastes like. Buddhism reminds us that suffering is born from clinging, holding on to what constantly changes. People change. Their moods, attention, and affection flow like seasons. If your peace depends on their weather, your life will always be a storm. But when you learn to anchor within, you become the sky itself, vast, unshaken, and patient with passing clouds. Ask yourself, who controls your emotions today? What validation are you addicted to? Can you stand strong without applause? These questions are not meant to shame you. They are meant to awaken you. Because the truth is, the love you seek from others is only a reflection of the love you have withheld from yourself. The approval you crave is the echo of your own unspoken acceptance. To break this silent slavery, practice mindful detachment. When you feel the urge to please, pause and breathe. Ask, is this action born of love or fear? When loneliness arises, meet it with kindness, not escape. Sit with the emptiness until it loses its power to scare you. Each moment of inner strength you build becomes a feather in the wings of your freedom. Remember, solitude is not punishment. It is the training ground for liberation. The one who learns to stand alone walks with peace everywhere. You are not meant to be caged by approval. You are meant to soar with self-awareness. Freedom begins the moment you stop waiting for permission to feel whole. 4. Choose solitude over fake company. Why do we tolerate draining people just to avoid feeling alone? There is a quiet fear that if we walk alone, we will lose our worth, our place, our belonging. Yet the Buddha taught, better a path walked alone than a crowd that leads to nowhere. Solitude is not loneliness, it is clarity. When you stop surrounding yourself with noise, you begin to hear the truth of your own heart. A tree grows strongest where roots meet silence, not noise. It does not rush to find another tree for comfort. It simply stands, still and patient, drawing life from within. In the same way, your growth depends on your willingness to stand in your own silence. Many stay in hollow friendships, empty conversations, or false connections simply to fill time. But what is time filled with if it drains your spirit? Each moment spent pretending is a moment lost from your awakening. Imagine yourself sitting alone, but peaceful, not lonely. There is no one to impress, no role to play, no mask to hold. Just breath, awareness, and stillness. In that stillness, the tension of false company dissolves. You begin to realize it is not people you miss. It is the peace you once traded for their attention. Who steals your peace? What relationships exist only out of habit? Is your circle helping your growth or delaying it? Buddhist wisdom reminds us that association shapes destiny. The company you keep either sharpens your awareness or dulls it. When you walk with those lost in illusion, their confusion seeps into your silence. But when you walk alone, you begin to meet your own wisdom, the quiet guide that never speaks in noise. Solitude is not rejection, it is refinement. It teaches you what your soul truly needs, what conversations matter, and which connections drain your energy like open wounds. To practice this truth, spend a day without seeking company. Let the silence test your comfort. Observe which emotions arise, fear, restlessness, or longing, and sit with them without distraction. This is how solitude transforms into strength. You stop running from yourself and start returning home to your center. In time, you will see. The fear of loneliness was never about others. It was the discomfort of meeting your real self. But once you meet that self, no crowd can tempt you away again. Walk your path gently but firmly, for the one who learns to enjoy their own company will never again settle for half-hearted connections. Solitude is not emptiness. It is the birthplace of power, peace, and truth. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "I'm growing in solitude." 5. Noble silence resets the soul. Why does silence heal faster than words? We spend our lives surrounded by noise, external and internal, believing that speaking will save us, that explaining will make others understand, that filling the air with sound will fill the emptiness within. Yet, the Buddha's wisdom reminds us, in silence, truth whispers. The healing you seek is not in finding more words, but in finally learning to listen. Just as muddy water clears when left untouched, so does the mind. The more you stir your pain with thoughts, opinions, and explanations, the cloudier it becomes. But when you sit quietly, without reaction, without seeking, clarity begins to rise on its own. Sit still for 60 seconds. Watch what rises, without judging. At first it will be noise, memories, fears, unfinished conversations. But beneath that surface turbulence lies something deeper, the calm presence that has always been within you. When was the last time you truly sat with yourself? Most people only meet themselves in fragments, between notifications, distractions, or fleeting silence. But noble silence is different. It is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of awareness. It is the moment your heart starts speaking in a language words cannot reach. In that sacred stillness, pain begins to unravel, not because it is solved, but because it is seen. Buddhism teaches that silence is the bridge between illusion and truth. The mind wants to label, to defend, to escape. But silence asks nothing of you except to be. It is in this space that you realize how much energy was wasted trying to fix what time alone could heal. The moment you stop running from your thoughts, they begin to lose their power. You stop being the storm and start becoming the sky. Do you speak to avoid feeling? What truth arises in silence? These are not easy questions, but they are sacred ones. In the quiet, you will find the voice of intuition, the comfort of peace, and the strength of acceptance. Silence teaches you that not every wound needs to be explained. Some only need to be observed with compassion. So tonight, before sleep, sit with yourself for 1 minute. No music, no screens, no noise, just breath and being. Listen. You may hear sadness, you may hear longing, but soon you will hear peace. Because silence does not take away your pain, it transforms your relationship with it. And when the soul resets in silence, even the heaviest burdens become light enough to carry. 6. Detach from what you cannot control. Why do we suffer most from things outside our hands? Every human heart holds the same struggle, trying to control what was never meant to be owned. We grasp at people, outcomes and moments, believing that if we just hold tighter, they will stay. But the Buddha reminded us gently, attachment is suffering disguised as love. The more tightly we cling, the more we bleed. A hand clenched too tightly eventually bleeds, not because what it holds is sharp, but because of the tension within its own grip. Detachment is not indifference, it is wisdom. It is understanding that life moves like water, flowing, changing, never standing still. When we fight its current, we drown in resistance. When we float with awareness, we are carried by peace. Close your eyes and take a breath. Now, release one worry. Watch it float away like smoke dissolving into the air. Notice how light your chest feels in that moment. That is the weight of control leaving you. In solitude, the truth becomes undeniable. Most of your pain comes not from what happened, but from how hard you are trying to make it different. You replay words, try to rewrite endings, or imagine what you could have said. Yet the past no longer exists, and the future is still forming. What are you clinging to that's hurting you? Why is letting go so frightening? Perhaps because the mind fears emptiness, but emptiness is not loss, it is space for renewal. Buddhist teaching reveals that detachment is the highest form of love. It allows you to care deeply without possession, to give without expecting, to live without demanding. When you stop holding the world hostage to your expectations, you begin to taste real freedom. You learn to love others not for what they give, but for what they are. You learn to accept outcomes, not for how they serve you, but for what they teach you. Ask yourself gently, what peace could detachment bring? Maybe it's the peace of sleeping through the night without overthinking. Maybe it's the calm of loving without fear of losing. Maybe it's the strength of knowing that even if life shifts, your center remains unmoved. Letting go is not giving up, it is coming home. The moment you release what you cannot control, the universe rushes in to hold what you truly need. Remember, the one who learns to let go walks lighter, loves freer, and finally breathes in peace. Detachment is not emptiness. It is freedom wrapped in stillness. 7. Discipline is spiritual protection. Why do weak emotions control undisciplined lives? Every time you give in to the impulse of anger, laziness, or fear, you hand over your freedom. The Buddha taught that mastery over the mind is greater than victory over 1,000 enemies. Discipline is choosing who you become. It is the art of staying still when the storm calls your name, the sacred strength that keeps you walking the right path, even when no one is watching. Fire can destroy or forge steel. It depends if you shape it. Discipline is that fire. Without it, emotion burns through you, leaving ashes of regret. With it, that same energy becomes fuel for transformation. Most people want peace, but few are willing to train for it. They pray for clarity, yet live without structure. They seek calmness, but feed chaos daily. Discipline is not punishment. It is spiritual protection. It guards the mind from wandering into its own darkness. Imagine your future self, calm, stable, powerful, built not by luck or motivation, but by quiet daily actions. One act of mindfulness each morning. One breath before every reaction. One promise kept to yourself. These small disciplines are invisible foundations beneath every great transformation. A temple is not built in a day. It is raised brick by brick in silence through patience. So it is with the self. Ask yourself, are your habits building your future or killing it? What must you stop tolerating from yourself? Every excuse, every delay, every broken commitment is a small surrender of your potential. The undisciplined mind is a house without doors, open to every passing emotion, every doubt, every distraction. But the disciplined mind becomes a sanctuary where peace and purpose dwell unshaken. Buddhism teaches that right effort is part of the Eightfold Path. Not effort that drains, but effort that aligns. Discipline born from love for your higher self, not fear of failure. When you meditate, you train your awareness. When you act with mindfulness, you train your energy. Each moment of restraint strengthens your spiritual armor. Who would you be with unshakable discipline? Perhaps the version of you that no longer reacts but responds, that no longer wavers but walks with quiet certainty. This is the self that solitude tries to reveal, the self capable of walking through fire and emerging refined, not burned. Remember this truth. Your emotions are wildfire, but discipline is the hand that shapes them into light. Protect your spirit with consistent action, because in a world of noise, the most spiritual act is to remain steady, grounded, and true. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "I'm growing in solitude." 8. Stop seeking emotional comfort. What if comfort is the very thing stealing your greatness? Every soul longs for peace, yet so often we mistake comfort for peace. Comfort numbs, peace awakens. The Buddha taught that true liberation comes not from escaping pain, but from understanding it. Growth begins where comfort ends. It is through discomfort that you meet the parts of yourself still asleep, the parts that need awakening. Muscles grow by resistance, so does character. Imagine a seed buried in the soil. To rise, it must push through the dark earth. That pressure, that resistance, is not its enemy, it is its teacher. In the same way, every challenge you avoid becomes a missed opportunity to grow stronger. Life is constantly sculpting you, but only if you allow yourself to feel the chisel. Comfort, however, convinces you to stay still, to live within walls of safety that slowly turn into cages. Feel discomfort as a friend, not a threat. Sit in silence for a moment and notice how the mind wants to escape toward distractions, towards pleasure, towards anything that hides the rawness of truth. But if you can stay, if you can breathe into that unease, something sacred happens. Fear turns into clarity. Doubt transforms into direction. Discomfort becomes a quiet mirror reflecting your unrealized strength. Ask yourself, do you run from effort? What hard truth have you been avoiding? How has comfort weakened you? These questions are the beginning of awakening, because the path of self-mastery is never soft. It is carved from discipline, patience, and surrender. The Buddha's own journey began the moment he stepped away from luxury and chose the unknown. He discovered that the comfort he left behind was never real. It was illusion, a veil hiding the deeper joy of awareness. To live meaningfully, you must outgrow the addiction to ease. When you face fear, when you embrace effort, you begin to build the strength of stillness. You realize that peace does not come from avoiding storms, but from learning how to walk calmly through them. Each moment you endure with awareness becomes a spark of transformation burning quietly inside you. So the next time life tests your comfort, smile gently and whisper, "Here is my teacher." Growth was never meant to feel easy. It was meant to feel real. Comfort protects who you were. Discomfort shapes who you are becoming, and in that sacred tension, you discover not weakness, but the strength of an awakened soul. 9. Turn failure into fuel. Why do some people collapse after failure, while others rise stronger? The difference is not luck or talent, it is perception. The Buddha taught that life's challenges are mirrors, reflecting the truths we most avoid. The fall teaches what the climb cannot. Failure is not a verdict on your worth. It is a quiet teacher, waiting for you to lean in and listen. A seed must crack before it grows. Inside the shell lies potential, but growth demands rupture. In the same way, failure breaks illusions, strips away ego, and forces you to confront the raw edges of yourself. Most people resist this breaking. They blame, they deny, they lament. But what if, instead of seeing failure as defeat, you saw it as redirection? What if each collapse was a guidepost pointing toward deeper understanding, toward wiser choices, toward the self you have been avoiding? Rewrite your failure, not as punishment, but as a lesson. Sit quietly and breathe into the moments that hurt most. Where did you falter? What choice created suffering? And then gently ask, what is this moment trying to teach me? When you meet failure with curiosity rather than shame, it loses its power to break you. Instead, it becomes fuel. Fuel for patience, humility, and resilience. Ask yourself, what did failure try to teach you? Did you listen or complain? Are you rising or repeating? These are not easy questions, but they are necessary. Each answer calls you to a higher level of consciousness, a more deliberate way of walking through life. The fall is never final. Only surrender is. By observing your missteps, by embracing the lessons hidden in pain, you convert weakness into strength. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that suffering is a teacher and persistence is the path. The student who learns from failure does not merely survive, they evolve. They carry forward clarity where confusion once reigned, patience where impulsiveness once guided, and courage where fear once stood. Failure becomes the crucible in which character is forged. So, when life collapses around you, do not panic. Sit with the discomfort, breathe into the lessons, and allow your mind to see the opening. Rewrite the narrative quietly in your heart. This is not defeat. This is redirection. Every setback is a step. Every fall is an invitation. The seed must crack before it grows, and so must you. Rise not in spite of failure, but because of it. 10. Will is greater than emotion. What if waiting for motivation is a trap? Most people believe that action must follow feeling, that inspiration must arrive before steps are taken. Yet the Buddha taught a deeper truth. Do what must be done, whether you feel like it or not. Will is greater than emotion. It is the quiet force that moves you when the heart wavers, when desire falters, when the mind debates endlessly. A river does not flow because it feels like moving. It flows because it has a direction. Emotion is the surface of the river, rising and falling, unpredictable and tempting to follow. Will is the current beneath, steady, persistent, unshakable. When you align your action with intention rather than mood, you build a momentum that even the storms of doubt cannot halt. See yourself act, with or without emotion, calm and focused. Picture the tasks you have postponed, the discipline you have delayed, the growth you have ignored. Let your will guide you through them. Feel the stability of taking steps, even when energy is low, when the mind resists, when fear whispers to retreat. Each small act becomes a stone in the foundation of your strength, a quiet testament that you are the master of your path, not the prisoner of fleeting feelings. Ask yourself, are your emotions stopping your destiny? Can you act when you don't feel ready? What will you begin today? These questions are not mere prompts, they are keys. The moment you recognize that waiting for emotion is waiting for illusion, you step into the realm of true agency. The mind may resist, the heart may tremble, but the will persists. Action born of will becomes a practice, a meditation, a demonstration of inner power. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that life is impermanent and unpredictable. Waiting for motivation is waiting for certainty in a world that has none. Yet when will guides action, each moment becomes sacred, each step forward, taken without guarantee, builds courage, clarity, and confidence. So begin now, even in doubt, even in fear, even in exhaustion. Let your hand move, your voice speak, your body rise to meet what must be done. The river flows regardless of mood. Your life will advance regardless of hesitation. Will is the quiet mastery of the self, the steady compass in the chaos of feeling. Trust it, follow it, and watch as your destiny unfolds, not because you felt ready, but because you chose to move anyway. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "I'm growing in solitude." 11. You owe no explanation. Why do we waste life explaining ourselves to people who will never understand? So often, we bend and shape our words, our choices, even our silence, to meet the expectations of others. Yet the Buddha reminded us, truth needs no defense. The essence of who you are cannot be diluted by opinion, nor strengthened by approval. Like the sun, which never explains why it rises, it simply shines. Your life radiates meaning through being, not through justification. Every moment spent defending yourself is a moment stolen from growth. People who cannot see your path will always demand explanation, approval, or proof. But your energy belongs to the life you are cultivating, not to the judgments of others. Imagine walking forward with quiet certainty, without defense, without apology. Every step taken in alignment with your truth carries far more power than any argument ever could. Ask yourself, who are you trying to impress? What dream are you defending? Most often, these are illusions of expectation, phantoms that shape your choices and drain your spirit. Yet when you release the need to explain, when you stop justifying your path, you step into freedom. Freedom to act, to create, to live without restraint. Freedom to honor your inner compass rather than the noise around you. Metaphorically, consider a river flowing unbidden. It does not pause to tell the stones why it moves, nor does it justify its course to the wind. It simply follows its nature, persistent and inevitable. So too should your actions be guided by inner truth, not by the fleeting opinions of others. Each decision made from conviction is a meditation in motion, a silent declaration of authenticity. Reflection deepens when you embrace this principle. The world will not always understand, and that is not failure, it is reality. Let the judgments pass like clouds, and let your focus remain rooted in the work, the practice, the life you are building. Action, unencumbered by explanation, becomes both liberation and teaching. People will see only what they are ready to see. Your responsibility is to remain aligned with what you know is true. Walk forward without defense, without seeking permission, without fear. Let your life speak, not your words. Let your presence, your discipline, and your choices convey the depth of your character. The need to explain is a chain. Release it and discover the calm certainty that comes from living authentically. The truth of who you are shines without question, because it is not for them, it is for you. Bonus lesson. Walk alone until you become unbreakable. Why must the path to greatness be walked alone? Most people fear solitude because it exposes the raw truth of who we are. Yet the Buddha taught, being alone is where destiny reshapes you. It is in the quiet, far from applause and distraction, that the soul is strengthened. Only when we step into solitude do we face ourselves completely, our fears, our habits, our hidden strengths. A sword is not made in comfort, but in fire and solitude. Each strike, each moment of pressure, shapes the metal into form. In the same way, your character is formed not by easy days or familiar voices, but by moments of silent endurance, by standing steady when the world gives no hand to hold. Solitude tests you, stretches you, and slowly refines you into someone unshakable. Imagine your future self, calm, strong, steady, born from solitude. Notice the stability in your posture, the clarity in your thoughts, the quiet confidence that comes not from recognition, but from inner mastery. This is the self that appears when distraction fades, when comfort is set aside, and when your will meets your fears and chooses to rise. Ask yourself, what journey must you begin on your own? Are you strong enough to walk your own path? Are you ready to become unbreakable? These questions are not invitations to loneliness. They are calls to courage. Walking alone is not abandonment, it is training. It teaches resilience, patience, and the sacred skill of trusting your own strength. In Buddhist teaching, the greatest changes are often solitary. The mind, free from noise and expectation, discovers the power it carried all along. You realize that dependence on comfort, applause, or company is optional. What truly matters is your commitment to the path itself. Solitude becomes the place where weakness is burned away, leaving behind clarity, focus, and courage. Embrace the path that asks you to walk alone. Every step taken without distraction, every choice made without approval, every moment faced without avoidance, builds a foundation of inner strength. The world may misunderstand you, challenge you, or even oppose you, but the one who has walked in silence and faced themselves completely becomes unshakable. So step forward into the quiet. Let solitude test you, let it shape you, let it awaken the strength that has always lived within. Being alone is not emptiness, it is preparation. Walk alone, endure, and watch as the self you once feared would not survive in isolation becomes the unbreakable force you were always meant to be. Quick summary of the principles. Pain reveals what comfort hides. Pain is not a punishment, it is a message. It uncovers emotional illusions, false attachments, and neglected truths. When we stop escaping discomfort, we begin to understand ourselves. Pain guides us back to our inner truth. Meet the enemy within. The greatest battles are not outside, but inside the mind. Negative thoughts, self-doubt, and fear quietly block your progress. When you master the mind, you master life. Self-awareness is the base of strength. Emotional dependency is silent slavery. Relying on others for happiness, attention, or emotional safety creates endless suffering. The Buddha teaches emotional independence. Inner peace rises from within. Freedom begins when validation is no longer a necessity. Choose solitude over false company. Not everyone around you supports your growth. Being alone is better than being surrounded by people who drain your energy. Solitude helps you find clarity, honesty, and true purpose. Quality over quantity, always. Noble silence resets the soul. Many people fear silence because it shows the truth, but silence is a powerful teacher. It calms mental chaos and builds emotional clarity. Practicing noble silence gives you control over your thoughts and reactions. Detach from what you cannot control. Attachment to outcomes, people, or expectations creates suffering. Detachment is not indifference, it is emotional balance. Accepting life as it comes brings freedom and inner peace. Discipline is spiritual protection. Without discipline, emotions and laziness take over. Discipline aligns your actions with purpose and builds steady character. It is a form of self-respect and mental strength. Consistency is a spiritual journey. Stop seeking emotional comfort. Comfort zones limit potential. Growth requires effort, struggle, and discomfort. Those who avoid difficulty stay stuck. True transformation happens when we face what we fear, turn failure into fuel. Failure is a correction, not a final stop. Every setback teaches something important. Growth means learning, adjusting, and rising again. Failure is part of the road to mastery. Will is stronger than emotion. Motivation cannot always be trusted. Willpower is everything. Actions should not depend on feelings. Do what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. Discipline over mood leads to success. You owe no explanation. Stop wasting time explaining your decisions to people who will never understand your path. Inner peace begins when you stop defending your life and simply live it. Silence is stronger than arguments. Walk alone until you become unbreakable. Greatness begins when you stop waiting for support. Walking alone builds resilience, clarity, and strength. The path may feel lonely, but it shapes unshakable spirits. Strength is born in solitude. There comes a time when life pushes you into aloneness, not to punish you, but to prepare you. You are moved away from distractions so you can hear your own soul. You are separated from the crowd so you can discover your own direction. This is not isolation, it is initiation. The universe removes what you no longer need, so you can uncover who you truly are. And the moment you stop fearing loneliness, your power awakens. Great souls are not created in comfort. They are shaped in silent battles that no one notices. When you master yourself, you stop chasing validation, approval, or support. You move with inner certainty. Remember this truth: the one who conquers himself is greater than the one who conquers 1,000 men in battle. Your journey now begins, not outside, but within. Keep walking, keep growing, and life will rise to meet you. Like and share this video, share your thoughts in the comment box, and subscribe to Buddha's Eternal Wisdom for more inspiring Buddhist insights on living a peaceful life.